Ironically, today our gospel talking about exorcism, basically. The St. Benedictine medal actually has a rite of exorcism on it. And St. Benedict was very important to Ireland. As we know, there were lots of monasteries here. And actually, monasteries had a lot more power than most bishops in Ireland. And the abbots and abbesses of the monasteries were really I guess you'd say, the mayors of their towns. And it's fascinating to me to finally be in a place where, such a Catholic country and such an ancient feel to it. In the United States, we're very young. We don't have these type of ancient roots. Now, something else I'll point out from yesterday, you may have noticed that Father Chris and I, at the end of Mass yesterday, sang the Salve Regina in Latin. Did you know that hymn was written by a blind monk? No. Blessed Herman, known as Blessed Herman the Blind, or the Crippled. He was born to a family that could not take care of him. He was badly crippled, probably had scoliosis or other deformities. And so during the Middle Ages and before, if you had a disabled child that you could not take care of, you brought them to the monastery. And so Herman was brought to a Benedictine monastery and eventually became a monk himself. And it wasn't long after he arrived at the monastery that he lost his sight. And it was after he had lost his sight that he wrote the Salve Regina, which in English we know from the Rosary is the Hail Holy Queen. So I call it the blind man's prayer for good reason. And so, of course, that hymn is very important to me. And, of course, Benedictine life is very important to me. I tell people I'm very much a monk, but I don't live in a monastery because I'd kill them all. So I'm very much an introverted hermit. And that's why I like being a parish priest living alone. So I can tolerate a visitor every once in a while, but that's how I am. But I'm very monastic in my spirituality. And so another piece of that, as I mentioned at the beginning of Mass, the vote of Mass for the dead is also very important to me. Before the Second Vatican Council, if a blind person was ordained a priest, he had to get dispensation from Rome because blindness was considered an impediment to orders. And therefore, even though he might have been allowed to be ordained, he could only say one of two masses, the two shortest ones, because they could be memorized. And that was the vote of Mass for the Blessed Virgin Mary, which I prayed the day before yesterday, and the vote of Mass for the dead, which I'm praying today. And so those two masses are very dear to me. So I'll be praying that today for my two grandmothers. And, it's important to pray for the dead. It's important to pray remembering that we're all connected, living, dead. And so may we continue this day with knowing that we're in a very special place. Being in a monastery is very unique. The work that the sisters do here is extremely important. Work and prayer. Amen.
Amen.